Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Hong Kong and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel many times before. So I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last couple of years, a good few different styles, and if people were to ask me about this brewery, I would say that they are pretty solid all round. They do a wide variety of things and they always turned out pretty well. In recent times though, they have been struggling on the business side of things, and that has affected the quality of the beer to a degree, but hopefully they can improve that over the next little while and get back to winning ways. We'll just need to see. But yeah, the beer that we're going to have a look at today is one that I've had from them many times before, although that was on draft. This is the very first time I'm going to try the canned version of this beer, but this one is one of their core range beers. It is very good in my opinion, a style that I very much enjoy, one that is growing a little bit in popularity in certain places, but also one that you don't find all that often from Asian breweries actually. So yeah, that makes this one pretty interesting. So needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's as good as I remember, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, like I said, we're heading up to the new territories. We're going to go to Photan to be precise, and we're going to have a look then at another beer from Carbon Brews. So this particular beer is called El Crispy Boy. It comes in at 4.5% ABV, and this one is a Mexican lager. So yeah, like I said, I've had this beer many times on draft and it can be really nice when it's fresh. This can, from what I understand, is pretty fresh actually, so I'm hoping the canned version is as good as the draft version. We'll just need to see, but the cans that I've had from Carbon Brews in the past have always been pretty solid actually, so yeah, we'll just need to see whether this one is the same as those. But yeah, not often you find a Mexican lager in Asia, and as far as I can remember, apart from the one from Moonzen, this is the only other one you can find in Hong Kong. So let's crack on with this and see what it's going to have in store for us. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Carbon Brews before, and we will add some more to that list at some point in the near future because I do have some of their big bottles to take a look at. You'll see those in a few months' time. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support you give is massively appreciated, and do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from different countries too. You'll find this one in the Hong Kong playlist along with a number of other things. That's being added to very regularly, of course, since I'm now based out here in Asia, and do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well. You can search for beer on the channel homepage using the geography tagging system too. But yeah, let's go on then and have a little look at the history of Carbon Brews. So Carbon Brews is based in Photan in the New Territories here in the Hong Kong SAR, and the company was founded back in 2018. So the original brewery was on the 1st and 10th floor of the Union Industrial Centre in Photan, but this was previously the Hong Kong brewery of Kiyuchi Brewery from Ibaraki over in Japan, who were brewing their Hitachino Nest beers here for a little while, and they originally established this facility back in 2015. So the original general manager of the brewery was Chris Wong of Heroes Beer Company fame here in Hong Kong, originally from the US, and he was previously an accountant by trade, but in addition to Heroes Beer Company, he founded HK Brewcraft while also working for Hitachino's Hong Kong operations. But Carbon Brews basically took over the brewery in late 2018 and was founded as a completely new brand. And the name Carbon is taken from Photan, tan meaning carbon in Cantonese. And they quickly built a reputation as being a very experimental brewery with their with Chris and Connor running the brewery. So they had a tap room in Central on Hong Kong Island, which opened up in 2022, but this closed in 2014 sadly. And they've got another bar in Akasaka in Tokyo as well. But in 2023 they took over the Double Haven Brewing Dragon Water facility just down the road from the Wai Industrial, just down the road in the Wai Industrial Centre. And this brewery operates a 35 hectolitre brew kit, and the current head brewer is Diaz Jumashev, and he's joined in the brewing team by Justin Chan, Lydia Kuzmina, Harry Liu and Tommy Liu, and they do a lot of contract brewing for other breweries, from what I understand as well. But as of September 2024, when I'm filming this review for you, under the Carbon Brews brand, there have been 135 different types of beer released, but there are rumours that these guys are moving abroad, so we'll just need to see what happens with that. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about Carbon Brews for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a wee bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's go on and actually have a little look at the beer itself then. That's all you need to know about the history of Carbon Brews. But yeah, you can see the artwork on this one is pretty cool, I have to say. There you can see the Carbon Brews symbol on the top of the can there, which you'll find on all of them. But yeah, the artwork on this one is pretty fun, I have to say. There's a wee reference to Mexican wrestling there. And then yeah, if you go around here, you can see the cactus being very happy with his El Crispy boy as well. But plain black top on the can there, 330 millilitres of course. I think I paid like 25 Hong Kong dollars for this, which is about £2.50 and maybe about $3 American, €2.75, something like that. But yeah, craft beer is a little bit more expensive of course in Hong Kong because yeah, wages are higher, everything's a little bit more expensive here. But yeah, this is pretty nice looking can, I have to say. So not too much else we really need to say about this one. When it comes to the Mexican lager as a style, the only things to really kind of bear in mind with this is that they tend to have a little bit of, they can have a little bit of rice in them, they can have a little bit of corn in them and things as well. Does it really say? I don't think it really says actually what the ingredients on this one actually are, but yeah, Mexican lager, yeah, usually a little bit of corn or a little bit of rice added into them, and they're very light and very crisp, drinkable beers, of course. So yeah, let's get this one out into the glass and just see what it's all about again. But like I said, I do enjoy this one, and it's dangerously easy to drink. I probably should have got 2 cans of this actually for the review, so we'll need to sip this one to describe the flavour. But yeah, let's put the can down there and just let it sit. So before the head disappears on this one, you can see that the beer poured with about a finger of a frothy, I would say pretty much perfect white head there. You can see some kind of small foamy bubbles on the surface of the liquid there, but as you go further up, it gives you some more kind of bigger bubbles too. But yeah, it looks pretty nice, this one, and pretty much as you would expect. I think I've had my fridge a little bit cold with this one because there's a wee touch of sedimentation in there. I can see that floating around. But yeah, you can see this beer has poured a lovely kind of bright golden straw colour, this one. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few different things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well. But in the case of like Mexican lagers, you know, I don't think that's the rice and the corn that can go into these beers will play too much of a role in that. But you can see 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass on this one, but a few of them just kind of going up toward the surface of the beer there, and you can see that it does have a little bit of a natural haze to it as well, so it's obviously unfiltered. But yeah, all in all, this one is pretty much what you would expect appearance-wise from the Mexican lager style. So another thing to remember about lagers is, of course, that they are bottom fermenting beers, which means they use bottom fermenting yeasts that ferment at lower temperatures, you know, 8 to 12 degrees Celsius. Ales, of course, use top fermenting yeasts, and they ferment at like, you know, 15, 16 degrees Celsius, something like that. So yeah, you've got lots of different types of lagers, of course. You've got your you know, your various German ones, your various Czech ones and things, and then the Japanese rice lager and the Mexican lager, of course, are maybe 2 of the more unusual ones. But yeah, I think we've said everything we really need to about the appearance and the technicalities of the Mexican lager style. We can move on and actually have a little look at the aroma of the beer then, but nothing overly surprising about this beer when you consider what style it is. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the nose of this one then and just see what it's all about. I'm very, very curious about this. Oh yeah, it is pretty nice. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, this one, in all honesty. But it can be just such a nice beer. So yeah, aroma wise, it gives you everything you'd want. You've got the wee bit of breadiness, you've got a little touch of green component to it, and just that little bit of fruitiness. As I say, the Mexican lager is just a very drinkable, kind of crushable beer style, as many people will call it. But yeah, these can be really nice to enjoy. So yeah, let's just break the aroma down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So let's look at that first. So the backbone of this beer is absolutely that kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. It comes across as being a little bit like a kind of yeah, it comes across as being like a kind of fresh kind of hedgehog roll type thing. There are little elements of woodiness in there, of course. So yeah, a little bit elements of woodiness in there. Jacob's cream cracker, some nice white bready notes, of course. So yeah, nice little bit of kind of white breadiness in there. Maybe a wee touch of like wholemeal brown bready character as well. So yeah, a little touch of wholemeal brown breadiness in there. Lovely little bit of white bready character too. Yeah, the way that goes together, I think, is it's really nice. So yeah, wholemeal brown bready character, fluffier white bready character in there, and you can also smell a little bit of. I think there's a bit of rice in this one. In all honesty, you can just smell a little bit of an almost oily, ricey character to this. And I do suspect there's a wee bit of Pilsner malt in here, because like at the back of the nose, you can certainly just pick up that little bit of kind of crisp dryness in there. But yeah, I think there's a bit of oily rice in there. I think there's also a wee bit of, as I say, I think there's a little bit of, what would I say? I think there could be a little bit of corn in this one, but I think they might have also added a wee bit of lime into this as well. Just going by the aroma and how pungent the lime is. But yeah, for me, on top of the kind of malty characteristics, and you will find that the more you smell of this one, the more the maltiness kind of gets oily, I would say, and that's usually a sign of like rice and corn being added into there as adjuncts and things. But yeah, for me, on top of that, you do get a little bit of like, there's a wee touch of that kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing, maybe a wee tiny hint of like a straight up sweet caramel to it as well. But all in all, I think that describes pretty much everything we need to say about the malty side of this beer. So, the yeasty side of things, for me the yeastiness comes out of the back of the nose, and the yeast on this one's pretty kind of straightforward. You've got that lovely, fluffy, kind of white bready character coming out of it. So yeah, lovely kind of fluffy white bready note to this one. Then, yeah, lovely fluffy white bready character coming out of it. You've got a bit more of a crackery note to it. It's got a wee bit of that almost like farmhousey and slightly woody character as well. But yeah, the way that all of it goes together, I think, is quite nice. So gets a thumbs up from me. Yeah, on the malty and yeasty side of things, I think that's everything we really need to say. On the hoppy side of things, then, for me, the green component, it's I do suspect there's a little bit of lime has been added into this, because every time I go back to it, you just get this big kind of almost blast of lime going straight up your nose. So I'm pretty sure there's a bit of lime added into this. But yeah, if there is lime added into this, you have to remember that when you add fruited adjuncts into a beer, it's always going to suppress a little bit of the green component. So maybe any hoppy character in this one is a little bit harder to pick up. So yeah, but there is certainly a little bit of that green component in there. For me, there's a slight little touch of earthiness to it. There's a good wee bit of like a woody, slightly herbally note in there. But yeah, some nice floral aromaticity, some good grassiness in there as well. And yeah, you can smell the lime. I'm pretty certain there's adjunct lime in this. You can just smell that going into the top of this one. Or coming out of this beer on top of all the other aromas. But yeah, the fruity side of things, other than that limey character that's very obvious in this one, I would be very curious to know whether they've used a bit of like Equinox from the US or Motueka from New Zealand, because those are the two main limey hops that are out there in my experience. But yeah, there are other things going on in there. There's maybe a little bit of like, a sultana type note in there. You know, dry white green grapey characters. There's maybe a little bit of oily pear some fresh green apple, apricot, stuff like that, you know, these kind of notes. And these are all things that you would expect from blonde lagers, if you like. The Mexican lager included, in Japanese rice lagers too will give you a little bit of this. But all in all, the aroma of this one is pretty interesting actually. So yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one, and see what you think. But I certainly quite like it. As I say, it's always nice to kind of sit down and think about a beer a little bit more in depth when I do these videos. But yeah, let's do this one then. So yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it, as I always say. But we are going to try this one now. So this is El Crispy Boy, a 4.5% Mexican lager from Carbon Brews in Photan, New Territories here in Hong Kong. Let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers. Yeah, still pretty solid, still pretty damn solid. Yeah, I mean, as I said to you before, this beer is pretty straightforward, but it's just nice and satisfying. This is the kind of thing you'll drink just if you want something nice and light and easy, just a wee bit of refreshment. What I will say though is that compared to the draft versions, I would say that this one's actually a little bit more oily and a bit smoother, and a little bit sweeter almost as well. So yeah, the way that it goes together, I think, is really nice. But it gets a big thumbs up from me. So yeah, I really do like how this one, goes together, actually. The can version, I think I might even like the can version a little bit better than the draft version, in fairness, which is kind of interesting. I think the slightly bigger maltiness that this beer has is nice, and as is, you know, when I think about the Mexican lagers and the Japanese lagers, you know, you are focusing a wee bit more on that adjuncty side of things. So to have that slightly bigger malty character in these is pretty, I think that it's worthwhile with this style. That's maybe how I should say it. But yeah, again, really nicely done, this beer. So if you get the chance to try it, I think you'll quite enjoy this one as a starter beer. So let's just break this beer down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth, as we always do. So middle third of your palate. The backbone of the beer is that lovely, fresh, white bready bread crust. And that's great. So you've got that lovely, fresh, white bready bread crust in there. As you move further forward on that middle third of your palate, you can pick out a little bit of woodiness to the beer, which I think is great. So yeah, there's a little touch of woodiness in there. And then above that bread crusty backbone, you do get a little bit of like Jacob's cream cracker coming out of the beer as well. So yeah, that nice backbone, the Jacob's cream cracker, and the wee bit of like woodiness in there are absolutely great. But yeah, above that you've got a more kind of wholemeal. There's a slightly wholemeal brown bready character in there, and that shows you a little bit of graininess and a little bit of sweetness into the aftertaste. But above that you can feel that kind of fluffier white bready character just coming out of the beer. So yeah, you've got that brown bread in the base and the kind of fluffier white bread just sitting above that, which is really, really nice. So yeah, the white bready notes for me linger into the aftertaste a little bit, and you do get that wee touch of, as I say, you just get that little touch of, yeah, the white bready graininess is in there. It gives you a wee touch of sweetness, but a wee bit of dryness into the aftertaste. But I do think above that, you start to get, there's a little bit of Pilsner malt in this, I'm pretty sure, and you can feel that Pilsner malty character on the back half of that, middle third of your palate. So yeah, the way that goes together is quite nice too. Above the Pilsner malty character, you start to get the more oily notes out of the beer, and that's kind of interesting. I think there is a wee bit of corn in this one. There's just a wee bit of that corn flavour there. I'm not sure about rice right enough because it doesn't seem quite oily enough for rice, but I think above the kind of slightly Pilsner malty dryness there and the smoothness of the bread, you do have that little bit of you do have that little bit of you do have just that little bit of oiliness in there. So yeah, the way that that goes together is really it's really quite interesting. I'm curious, like I'm really wondering if there is a wee bit of I'm wondering a wee bit if there's that little bit of rice and stuff in this one, which is nice. So yeah, the way that this one goes together, I think, is really, really nice. So yeah, it's good stuff. It is good stuff. So yeah, on top of the kind of sweet, like corny, ricey sort of part of the beer, you can feel in the centre of your palate there's that little oily circle there where the boozy side comes out of the beer. So you've got a wee bit of this more like oily, concentrated, biscuity note to it, and it's quite common to get it like that in lagers. And there's maybe a wee bit more of a kind of grainy biscuit further out towards the edge. But yeah, all in all, the way that that side of the beer kind of pieces together, I think, is really quite nice. So that covers the middle third of your palate where all the malty character is, and that's potentially the most complex part of the beer actually. So yes, different layers of bread, then an oily, ricey kind of layer, and then a wee bit of sweetness on the top, and a wee bit of Pilsner malt further back. But yeah, the way that that goes together is quite nice. Let's go to the back third of the palate. As I've often said, more sweet flavours come out further forward on the palate, whereas more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. And the back third of your palate is going to give you very similar flavours to the middle third of your palate, just at different intensities. But yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you're getting that nice little bit of bready build up in there. You can feel the kind of brown bread in the base, then the white bread in the middle third of your palate, and a wee bit of a more kind of Pilsner malty white bready character in there. But yeah, the base of that back third of your palate, you've got that nice little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there. You've got that Jacob's cream crackery note above that. Then you've got more of a kind of wholemeal brown bready kind of character sitting above that. Then you've got the white bready notes above all of that, and then yeah, you can feel some of the kind of Pilsner malty, what I suspect is Pilsner malty dryness, just creeping over the top there. Then everything else on top of that is more about the kind of yeasty character coming out of the beer. So yeah. So the yeasty side of this beer then, at its core, it's maybe got a very slight brown bready character to it, but for the most part it's a kind of more dense and slightly sweet white bready character. Then around the edge of that, it gets a little bit more grainy and sort of crackery, like a farmhouse of bread, and the very, very edge of the yeasty side of things is more like bread crusty, I would say. But definitely, yeah, back third of your palate, you do have, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. But yeah, I think that covers everything we need to say about the malty and yeasty side of the beer actually, but that gets a thumbs up from me. Yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, let's move on to that. I think I was right about there being a little bit of lime added into this one in honesty, but because you can feel it. But yeah, back corners of the palate then with the green component, you do get that nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it gets a little bit herbal and a little bit woody, and then yeah, as you push further and further forward from that, you get some nice floral aromaticity coming out of it. So yeah, some really nice floral aromaticity in there, nice little bit of kind of grassy, zesty character around the front curve of the tongue, and then you've got that more limey note coming out of it. So yeah, the way that that pieces together, I think, is is really, really nice. So yeah, that gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, but you can feel the lime. I think there is lime added into this because you can just feel it suppressing a little bit of that green component for sure. But let's go to the front third of your palate then and the fruity side of things, just to round off the tasting section. So yeah, border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there. Feel the brown bread in the base, the white bread and the kind of Pilsner malty quality on top. The base of that front third of your palate, yeah, you've got the bread crust again, the wholemeal brown bread, the white bread, a little bit of almost Pilsner malty dryness, and then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So let's look at those fruity esters then. Yeah. So the fruity side of this beer, as I say, there's lime out. Yeah, you can definitely get that little bit of lime that's been added into this one, or lime juice at least. But yeah, the fruity side from the hops at the back of that. Yeah, at the back of that front third of your palate, you're getting mostly a sort of kind of sultana type note out of this one, you know, dry white green grapes. And as you move further forward, it's got more of a kind of oily, peary sort of thing coming out of it. So yeah, more of an oily, peary sort of note. And then yeah, as you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, it's got more of a kind of apricot-y sort of base to it. And then yeah, as you move into the front half of the front third of your palate, it maybe shows you a little bit of a kind of fresh green apple type quality, I would say. So yeah, sultanas, pears, apricot, green apple, and then yeah, it's all about the lime as you reach that kind of front tip of your tongue, and the lime obviously pushes back against the green component a little bit. But yeah, all in all, it's what I kind of expected, but as I say, I think this one is a little bit more kind of malty and bready, I would say, than the tap versions that I've had before. So yeah, kind of interesting actually, but still, I really like this beer. And yeah, the only complaint I would have about it maybe is that this needs to be a 440 or a 500ml can, in all honesty. But yeah, definitely worth trying this one if you get the chance, and I can feel the lime into the aftertaste for sure. But yeah, let's round off this review then with a wee quick look at the mouthfeel. I mean, for me, this beer, what would I say? Yeah, it's kind of top end of light bodied. The carbonation is very, very smooth on this one. Has got a wee bit of dryness into the aftertaste, but overall it's a slightly more oily mouthfeel. The IBU on this one's very low, like what, 10, 15 IBU, something like that. Did it not say on the can? Yeah, 16 IBUs, okay. So yeah, for me, the malty backbone, a little bit dry underneath, smooth in the middle, and a wee bit of a slightly dry sweetness on top there. We've talked about the IBUs, and the fruity side of this one, yeah, you've got a wee bit of oily fruity character from the hops, but then yeah, the lime kind of dominates this one, in all honesty, and that lingers into the aftertaste too. But all in all, really cool to do a more in-depth sit down and think about this particular beer, because it's one that I've had fairly often since I've been here in Hong Kong. But yeah, definitely a video I've enjoyed doing. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my take on this beer as well. So let's leave it at that. This one was the El Crispy Boy from Carbon Brews in Pho Tan, New Territories here in Hong Kong. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Carbon Brews as well. And we will return to those guys a little bit later on to look at some of the big bottles I've got. But until then, check out my social media, check out their social media, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao just now.